Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I kind of blew it on that one. We're going to start recording. That big red button with the phone in the middle of it, that's the one I'm going to click.
You just saw the red. Red for record.
It's good to be reminded of how stupid I am sometimes. Greetings, everyone. This is the Crucial Podcast. I am the Matt.
And this is Ellis.
You said you guys watched movies today.
Yeah, Lily and I yesterday we hit up the Redbox, and for $2 we got a double feature.
Okay.
We watched Kevin Smith's Tusk.
Yeah.
And then followed it up immediately with Birdman.
All right. Are you a big Redbox guy?
I really like that it's there. I don't use it every day, but it's really cool to get a fairly recent movie for $1 or $2 on Blu-ray, just for movies that, like an action movie or a comedy, something that I don't want to own, but I just want to see it one time. Because you'll pay like $6 online or on demand.
Yeah, so I'm a lot lazier than you in that regard. I've used Redbox one time. Me and the wife went down and we got this movie called Apollo 18, which...
Oh, God.
It's a god-awful movie. And we bought...
I own a copy, actually.
And we...
It's terrible.
Yeah, well, we thought, yeah, we'll go down the Redbox. And then we didn't have time. We were leaving for vacation down in Florida the next day. So we told the roommate guy, like, hey, Ryan, will you take it back for us tomorrow? Sure, dude, no problem. And he forgot. And so 8 days later, we get back home, and what do I see staring me in the face, after my 12-hour drive? But Apollo 18, so I paid $16 or whatever. I should have bought the damn movie. and so after that, I said never again.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about renting hard media. It's just like the Netflix thing that you would do. You'd have a coaster on your coffee table for 3 months that you were paying $7 a month to own.
Yeah, how quick we forget about the old days of Netflix. I was a very early adopter of Netflix.
I was too.
Yeah, 2002. That was when I first joined Netflix. And, I did the 3 movies at a time and had a whole queue system. But no, you're exactly right. There would always be one movie. And typically it was a movie, it was one of those you're quote unquote, I'm making air quotes right now. I'm saying it's a movie you're supposed to see. And
yeah, exactly. Like the top 100 movies to see before you die, or something like that.
So I'd have Casablanca sitting on my fucking end table for 2.5 years while other movies came in that I would just watch.
Yeah, or you get going on a TV show and you forget about Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, you would always have just a movie there. So I was on Netflix from maybe 2002 to about 2006. And then I got on the Blockbuster video. And they really had it down there for a while. They had that system. Were you on Blockbuster as well?
Yeah. It was the only time that we jumped ship from Netflix, and we've been on it ever since. You bring the movie back to the store, and you get to pick one at the store to take home right then. Yeah.
So you paid the same. It was the same cost as Netflix, and because let's take it back a minute. Netflix had 1 video, 3 video, 5 video plans, but if you were an avid watcher of whatever movies, you'd watch 2-3 discs in a day. So say you're watching a season of a show. That comes across 4 discs, 5 discs. So if you had 3 discs at a time, say you're just watching 24, classic Netflix watch. You'd have 12 episodes total across 3 discs. You'd watch them all in a night. You'd put them all in the mail the next day. But it was found out that Netflix was cheating the system. They were doing a version of throttling to where they would purposely limit the number of movies you could get in a month. And
right, just by not shipping them out.
Yeah, so there was a distribution center in Doraville, Georgia. I was living in Stone Mountain, Georgia at the time. Doraville, probably about 10 miles away. That was where the nearest distribution center was. I would get my movies back postmarked from Alaska or Montana or Colorado. And because it took an extra
Right.
2 or 3 days, so they're saving money ultimately on shipping. I think there was even a class action suit about that.
I think so. I don't know how that turned out, but yeah, I remember it being a sticking point.
Yeah, and so Netflix was, because when Netflix came out, it was amazing. It was awesome. Everybody loved it. And then they were kicking Blockbuster's ass, so Blockbuster, of course, just mimicked them. And that was when Blockbuster still had stores everywhere. And it's just like you said. So instead of having to mail the movie back, you would take your envelope to Blockbuster, trade it in for a rental in the store.
Right, so they would mail it back from that location, and they would zap a little barcode on the envelope, and then they would say, okay, well, go pick a favorite, or quote, like it couldn't be brand new.
It could be a new
but
release,
out in the
you're
middle
right.
of the floor, it could be anything else.
Yeah.
And do you, I'm going to quiz you for bonus points. Before that folded and Blockbuster bit the dust, do you remember the mortal lock that they had for one summer?
Yes, the snacks.
Yes, the Cokes. You could get 2 20-ounce Cokes and like a popcorn once a month for nothing.
Yeah, well, no, so that's not how I remember it. I remember you had to pay, but you had to pay, I think it was $7 extra a month or something like that. But if you paid that $7 or whatever, you could come in there, and every time you came in the store, you got a 20-ounce Coke and a popcorn or something like that. But maybe it's like what maybe it is what you said. I don't exactly remember a lot, but I do remember it kind of being that I did have to pay a little bit extra, but it was cheap considering I was in there 3 times a week because I live 2 miles from a Blockbuster.
It was easy to drop by.
Yeah.
So why not do that? And they actually mailed them off that day. And I don't think Blockbuster ever did the stalling thing. They were like, "Oh, we have movies, take them, please."
And that was the deal. They didn't even have to scan them or to mail them before your next movie would be sent. As soon as they scanned, their computer read, "Oh, Matt needs a new movie," and by the time you got home, you would already have the email saying, "Oh, Godfather 2 has shipped."
Yeah. It was like one summer, it was just awesome to be into movies.
Yeah.
Just consuming them left and right. And I was going to say, actually, I think I watched more movies in a year or two than I ever have on digital Netflix, just because like there's not as many movies that I want to see. It's more of a channel surf thing now. And you always get locked into watching TV shows. So I actually probably watch less movies now that they're one click away than when I actually had the mailing service.
All right, so you're absolutely right, but I'm not ready to get there yet because I want to talk.
Right.
I want to talk about the demise of Blockbuster first, because what you get is so Blockbuster did away with the snack thing, and they still had you could trade the movies in, and what they were banking on was that every time you'd come to Blockbuster, you're standing in line. Oh, well, let me buy a popcorn. Let me buy a Coke. Oh, there's a new release. You had to pay. I think for a new release, it was a discounted rate. But they could also
something like that.
Yeah, they could also hit you on the late fees as well.
Well, yeah, Blockbuster always made all of its money on the late fees.
Yeah.
But like you would get like a folder at the beginning of the month with your Blockbuster thing, and it would have coupons in it that they mail to you. I remember that too.
Yeah.
So you get like one free new release this month, and an additional favorite when you turn in your movie, and a free Coke. But you just get like 4 coupons.
Yeah. You got the little Blockbuster coupon book, and they were pretty smart in the end about how they did their late fee deal. It was pretty much because rentals were 7 days by this point in the game.
Right.
We can go back and talk about the old 2-day rental system, blah blah blah. But at this point in the game, it was a 7-day rental, and at the end of 7 days, if you didn't bring it back, you just paid the rental price and got it for 7 more days.
Right.
But that was where they made their money. But eventually, I don't know why they stopped doing this. They said, well, I mean, I guess it came down to money, ultimately, I'm sure. But they started their own version of throttling, which was, you can only come and turn back in 3 movies per month. And then you get the discounted rate on a rental.
Yeah, and I believe that they came out with like packages. So like for this much, you could get this many for free. But if you pay a little more for our gold program or whatever it
Yeah,
was,
and it was
our
unlimited, but it
Blockbuster
was
super fan,
yeah, but it was way more
but it was like
expensive.
$15.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
what made me finally jump ship from Blockbuster was not only that, but they went to the digital game. What we know of as Netflix today, but you had to download proprietary software onto your computer. You could only watch it on the Blockbuster Media Viewer, and it was really bad software. It sucked. And then by the time you actually got to, you combine that with less blockbusters, the higher prices. So I went back to Netflix, and I was initially very hesitant to go to the online system. This is probably around 2009, 2010, because they didn't really have that many movies online.
Well, they hadn't stepped up their digital game yet, and it was all kind of being put into place. And at the same time, home internet connections then weren't what they are now. We were maybe running at 3 megs a second, but I want to say we were still on 1.5 meg DSL Lite.
I remember it would work though,
which
it just
was a big factor. It would work, but not like today.
Yeah, but I mean, they also didn't have the content. It was, get Netflix online. It has The Fly 7, or, check out this John Lithgow documentary. It was bad programming. And then they started getting everything online. And I was hesitant to go to the digital side. And then, of course, it just kind of got to where you had to. There was no reason to have anything else. But I saw something pretty weird about a month ago. So I was in Atlanta visiting a friend, a history professor at Georgia State University, and he still actually does the DVDs.
Wow, I didn't even know that was around.
Yeah, no, maybe he just had an old disc laying around, but he had a Netflix disc there. It looked pretty new. Now, I say that, and this just reminds me of another thing. Do you remember the old trick with Netflix because you were mailing movies, and sometimes you would mail a movie and it would just get lost in the mail. You would have mailed it, 2 weeks went by, they didn't receive it. So you'd go online and you'd say, hey, I lost this movie. And they would just say, okay. And no one knew exactly how many it was, but there was a worked-in system to where you could lose a certain amount of movies and they wouldn't care. And so if there was a movie I really wanted to own, I would quote-unquote lose the...
Yeah, everybody got one. Like everybody cashed in one, I think.
At least.
Like I actually do have a movie that I lost from Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I probably, over the course of being a Netflix DVD in that system subscriber for 7 or 8 years, I probably genuinely lost one. I probably stole about 2 or 3, and then a couple just got lost in the mail. But they would give you a certain amount. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was one per year, one every 6 months, or whatever. But occasionally it would just happen.
Right. Yeah, well, or you'd get one that was broken.
Yeah. You could write them back, hey, this was sent to me broken. The best thing that ever happened, though, was I was looking for obscure heavy metal stuff on Netflix, and there was an American heavy metal festival, just a compilation.
Oh, I remember this, actually. I remember this.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a DVD of an American heavy metal festival, a bunch of bands, compilation kind of thing. And this weird CD came in the mail. It wasn't even a DVD. It was a Polish heavy metal festival CD came in the mail.
Yeah, and it was disc 1 of like 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But that was always a funny thing about like back in the disc days was that things were so split up. So you would it used to always make me mad on The Sopranos. So I think HBO for some reason would put 2 episodes on a disc or 3 episodes. And then you would have to waste a whole disc, which was a big deal because you only had 3 at a time and you had to mail them back. The struggle was real, children. You don't know what we went through back in 2004. It would be the last episode of the season and bonus features. And so you'd be waiting for, 3 days to get this disc in with 1 episode on it.
Yeah, the season finale. Yeah, 24 was guilty of that to a point. And I think one time when we were going through the X-Files way back, I believe they actually once just sent us a flat bonus disc. Like, it didn't even have episodes on it. It was just, oh, this is the 5th disc in this set. Here's your bonus disc.
Yeah, because you would just add them by season. You know, you could just add
and
the whole season.
Eventually they had them separated out. Like, this is a bonus disc, blah, blah. And you would check mark, like, which ones you wanted and which ones you didn't. But that took time.
Yeah, and you had this...
for that to happen.
You had this weird thing called... this is for our extreme millennial audience, people probably age 12 and under who listen to this show, which is in the millions. You had this thing called the Netflix queue, which you had to manage. And that was you would go onto the Netflix website, find the movies or TV shows or whatever you wanted to watch, and you would add them to your queue. And I had a very distinct queue management philosophy. Did you?
Yeah, you had to, or you'd just get random stuff.
What was yours?
I pretty much adopted yours, which was you had 2 discs out of the 3 to TV. And if you weren't watching 2 TV shows, then the extra went to like oddities, like a documentary or something like that. But you always had 1 movie and 1 TV show, and you watched movies in between the TV shows.
Yep, yeah, to break it up. But yeah.
You didn't want to get stuck with 3 movies.
Yeah, but I had another hard, fast rule, and that was once I added it. So say I added the X-Files Season 1, it was 5 discs. I would spread the discs out, 1 every 3 discs or whatever it was, so that I wasn't getting 8 hours of X-Files back to back. I would add in other things to break up the monotony. But when my queue was set, I would not change it. And I wouldn't look at it, so I wouldn't know what was coming. And whenever I added something to my queue, at the rate that I watch movies, it was going to be 2 or 3 months before I saw it. So when I got a Netflix... So if I was watching a show, yes, I knew what was coming up. But I completely forgot which movies I had added. So it was always a surprise what was coming to me. Which is probably why I ended up with a lot of... I'd be in 8 beers deep adding, documentaries about the French Revolution. Oh, this was going to be amazing watching. And it would come in the mail. And I would always have that stubborn thing where I didn't want to send a movie back.
Right. No, you want to watch it. It like in our house, it got 3 days. If it sat there for 3 days, then you just break down, send it back. Because if it made it 3 days, you're not watching that.
Yeah. Movie. No, it's true. It was going to sit there forever after that. Yeah, so that's how you got to that. Now, to bring it to current day, what you're talking about is Netflix has become the new channel surfing. I'm really good at adding things to my Netflix queue. And once again, I'm stubborn. I won't take them out until I've watched it after I add it. But I'll sit there and look at my queue, and I'll go, oh, I don't want to watch anything right now. Because you're right, it's always centered around TV shows. And it's strange how short our attention spans have become to where watching a movie almost feels painful.
Right, but at the same time, you were talking about spreading out a specific show over other discs and mixing up your shows, and I don't think anybody watches TV that way anymore. You sit down, you watch the entire show, or at least a whole season.
Yeah, you binge watch.
In a week. Yep. Yeah, you binge TV now.
Yeah. But also, I mean, you get on Netflix, I would just sit there and scroll through Netflix for 30 minutes and not watch anything. And I do the old classic, 300 channels, nothing to watch. So.
Yeah, well, my point with that was going to be, you can manage your queue, rock solid. You can be Paragon about that. But browsing for things when you don't know exactly what you want to watch is kind of a pain now. And that's not unique to Netflix. That's Hulu. It's on demand. It's DirecTV. Like wherever you watch things, it's so hard to just look through what they have and find something interesting because it's all just a haystack. And then the other thing that happens is, okay, say you do know what you want to watch. They don't have it. Like, I can't remember the last time I plugged something into a search.
No, yeah, you're
it was there.
You're exactly right. It's always the sequel of what you want to see. You find out someone hasn't seen The Exorcist. And say, dude, you got to see The Exorcist. And you look for it, and they have The Exorcist 3, but they don't have the original Exorcist. And my problem is, in my, what is it called? It's still called an instant queue, right?
No, I don't know if it's called
my
instant queue
list.
or
it's
what.
called My List.
Yeah, My
And
List.
so I'll look on my list, and I've added mostly TV shows. But to start a TV show, because you're going to binge watch it, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, well, for a movie, number one, you have to block out 3 hours, because even if it's an hour and a half, you know, you and I talk all the time. Another pet peeve, which I bet we could cover again and really rail on it, but you're not going to sit there and watch that whole movie in one stretch. You're going to get a text. Someone's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. You're not going to watch that whole movie.
No, it's true. It's true.
But a TV show, I don't just need 3 hours. I need like a month of my life set aside for this TV show. What if I get hungry on Tuesday and I can't finish this whole season of Mythbusters? Like, you know, I have to go grocery shopping before I download all this. You know, it takes so much time. And that's when you really realize how much time we watch TV. Because I remember as kids, they would say like, "Oh, your kid watches so much TV," and you're like, "No, I don't watch that much TV." But then you look at your Netflix history. Yeah, I watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's one of those things that people where, you know, much like we talked about in the last episode with fast food, people, I don't really do chain restaurants. I don't really eat fast food. People also love saying that one. Oh, I don't even watch TV. And then they're sitting there talking to you about the 7 shows they watched on Netflix. Just because you didn't watch something off of a cable box doesn't mean you didn't watch TV. And no, you're exactly right. It's tough to watch a movie because if you're in a committed relationship, and we don't have to go down this road right now, but if you're in a committed relationship with a woman, watching a movie, it's an epic undertaking.
Oh, with anybody, I would say I have to pause the movie twice to go to the bathroom.
Well, not only
get a drink.
Yeah, but with my wife, just to get the movie started, you're looking at 30 minutes, and then when you get the movie started, whatever. We'll talk about that another time. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too deep right now.
Yeah,
but no, you're right, and I have this big deal with committing to something. So I have a degree in history. And with the degree in history, you have to write a lot of papers, right? And, you know, long, 10, 15, 20-page papers. It would take me a week and a half to get the first paragraph written, and then 4 hours to get the next 10 pages written. And that's how I am with a TV show.
Yeah.
Once I get into it, I'm good. I'll binge watch. I'll dedicate my life to it. I have no problem dedicating to it. It's just getting over that hump of, well... Yeah, I don't know. Starsky and Hutch. I can't get it. I can't start it, and I don't know what it is about me, but that's just kind of how I'm wired. It's hard for me to get that initial start going.
And you know what? You know what it affects the most, and this is what thrived during the disc generation of Netflix was oddities and things that you watch just on a lark. Like you read an interview with Crispin Glover. And he's like, well, my favorite Nick at Night show was Bewitched. And you would just go watch Bewitched because why wouldn't you? You have Netflix. Yeah. But now it's those oddities that really suffer from that, and they really suffer from commercials. Watching things on Hulu has given me, and on cable, because I'm watching The Walking Dead, there's 20 minutes of commercials in that show. And they come every 4 seconds, and so much to the point that the commercial for the Talking Dead that comes on during the show has the actors giving interviews while you're waiting to finish the episode. And I've never seen such a destruction of immersion like there is for The Walking Dead. But anytime I'm like, oh, some weird anime that I never saw, or some weird TV show, or like a Nicktoon or something. But do I really want to sit through 20 minutes of ads to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
So I don't have to see commercials. So, I mean, I say this honestly, other than sports, I really don't watch a lot of live TV. I do all my TV watching on Netflix, and I have Amazon Prime. So I don't have any ads associated with it. But I watched this stand-up set with Aziz Ansari. And it really wasn't that great. He's a funny guy. The stand-up set was kind of average. But he made this one really good point that right now, this culture today, we're afraid of missing out on the next thing. So when you had the discs, that disc was all you had. You either had to watch the disc or you had to mail it back. So you would just watch the fucking disc. Now, you're sitting there and you're watching one thing. You're watching Bewitched. And but you're like, no, I don't want to watch this because I could be missing out. I could be playing PlayStation or on my Amazon Prime or on my tablet or on my phone, or I could be. There's just entertainment overload to the point to where, you don't want to be missing out. But
yeah, but what's so weird about that complex though? The number one symptom of that condition is you keep rewatching shit that's familiar.
Yes.
If you're so paralyzed on wasting your time, why are you watching Halloween 4 for the 17th time?
I don't know. I'm right now. So I'm going to come back to this because I'm in a really kind of interesting place right now. Like we talked about last episode, I have to be connected to my computer. I don't have wireless where I'm at. And so it's okay. This all relates. So I'll just bring this up now. So I don't have a TV with anything connected to it. No Netflix, no whatever. So to your point, yes, I do go back to the familiar. So I went to Best Buy just to load up on some DVDs I could throw on my laptop and watch at night. You think I bought anything new?
No, of course not. You don't want to own something you don't know what it's like or if it's any good.
I bought freaking Star Wars, Good Will Hunting, Pulp Fiction, and Iron Maiden DVD, and the Metallica some kind of monster documentary. All of which I've seen 100.
Because you need another.
100 times.
Right.
But.
And you bought 17 seasons of that damn metal show for $12.
Yeah. Oh, well. That metal show's for the other podcast.
No, I wasn't baiting you for a conversation. I was
Don't you dare.
Throwing it in there.
Don't you dare. So before I bought those DVDs, though, here's the interesting thing. I had to actually channel surf because I'm just in a hotel room. I've got a lot of channels. I've probably got around 60 channels, but I actually have to channel surf. And I haven't had to actually channel surf in probably 10, 15 years. Because even now on cable, you have the guide. So you just click guide and you look through and you find something you want to watch. Well, there's no guide on this TV. It's just old school. You turn the TV on and you have to click through channels. And that's just something
it's the worst.
Yeah, I haven't done in a while. I get so mad. I want to know what's on. I don't want to click and wait 2 seconds to watch and see what's on the channel before I turn it.
Oh, yeah. Like, Dad and I were talking about that the other night. We were kicking around his basement and stuff, and it was like, what did we do in 1997? What did we do? And then I was like, oh, right, I had video games. And then I was like, thank Mary Mother of God for Nintendo.
Yeah, but even then we watched...
Like, what would we have done with that?
But we watched TV, and we actually would have to channel surf. And, I mean, you knew what channels were which. I mean, on my TV right now, I can't tell you which number ESPN is, or VH1, or ABC. I have no idea. I know the HD starts at 900, and that's about it. I have to sit there and click through my guide. Yeah. Before, you would know the channels. ESPN was 24, Fox was number 5, ABC was number 2, VH1 was 48. I still remember these numbers.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And so I started doing that again. I know, so the NCAA tournament's going on, and I know which number all the games are on.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, just like we've had conversations about infomercials that we remember watching because it was on.
Yeah.
And there was literally nothing else that was on. Like, I would rather watch this infomercial or the Weather Channel, and that's what you do. Or the Guide Channel. How about that? The Guide Channel jockeys, where you go in their house and the Guide Channel's always on. That's how things like Talk Soup got started. Mm-hmm. Was on the Channel Guide station.
TV Guide Channel.
Yeah, TV Guide Channel. They actually had programming to take up a quarter of the screen because so many people sat there with the guide running. Like it's so so different
Well, and
now.
that's what
Maybe that's what causes that Netflix paralysis
Mhm.
is the gun shyness from all the crap that because I mean I went through a Maury Povich phase.
Yeah, you would just watch what was on. I mean, oh yeah, you're here, you're on the channel, I'm just gonna watch it. And I found myself doing that. I'd be, kind of playing on the phone, clicking through channels, and I'd go, why the hell am I watching some reality TV show about hunting in Nebraska? But it was just it's just a channel I stopped on.
Well, it's what gave birth to reality, right? That tail end of that age gave birth to reality TV. Because a lot of people, if the channel falls on Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, oh, that's cool. That's a good enough show. I'm gonna sit and watch 90 episodes of The Osbournes. Like, okay,
Yeah,
like that's what gave birth to that.
yeah.
Just that plethora of crap. Just nothing. Like nothing written. Well, I mean, I know that those things are staged, but it's not even really a show.
Yeah.
We just gave 5 nutballs a camera.
Yeah. No, it's like the old Jeff Foxworthy skit where he talks about there's something about a fishing show where you're going to watch it for at least 5 minutes, for at least a segment. And it's the same thing every time. It's such a true skit back in the day that you would do. And now you don't do that. You don't channel surf. We just talked for a good 30 minutes about, we went off on a pretty deep tangent there. You said that you guys did the double feature from Redbox, and you did Kevin Smith's Tusk, right? And Birdman. Yeah. Now, I think we need to do a deep dive on Kevin Smith at some point.
I was going to say the same thing. Also, everybody and their dog, if they've watched Tusk, they know everything about it. So I think like a 5-minute opinion back and forth on Tusk will be plenty, and then we'll focus on Birdman.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, with Kevin Smith, because there's a lot of news out there. He's, for people of our age, we're 30 years old. Kevin Smith is, for kind of dudes who are into nerdy stuff, who are into video games, Star Wars, or whatever, Kevin Smith is kind of the voice of our generation in a lot of ways. He's a very important filmmaker for us.
He is, and even his faults, his good qualities and his bad qualities, they both resonate with people that are our age, I think. So even when I'm not saying Tusk is a bad movie, but even the movies that he did that you didn't like as much as the others, because nobody loves them all. Even still, you were glad you watched it when it came out that first time.
So we'll go deeper into Kevin Smith at some point. But for just talking about Tusk, I watched it first with my wife, which she's not a Kevin Smith fan. She didn't grow up with Kevin Smith. She's not into video games. She's not into Star Wars. She's not into comic books. She saw Tusk and she was kind of excited. Oh, a horror movie? It's kind of like The Human Centipede? That's what I told her. Now, I hadn't seen it. And she hated it. She said, why don't you just give that movie away? I don't even want to have it in our house. It's awful. And then you and I watched it. We had a pretty good time watching it. What did Lily think of Tusk?
Well, I will draw comparisons between the two while we're talking about Birdman. Just because it was interesting watching them back to back. I found that they were very similar in a lot of ways, but the short answer is, even the parts that aren't, quote, good parts of the movie, I enjoyed it a lot more the second time because I'd gotten over the shock of it. And not the shock as in, oh, it's so horrifying, but just what is happening now?
It's an insane movie.
That movie just goes. It doesn't give a shit if you can make it or not. If you fall overboard, that's your fucking problem. But this is what's happening now. Yeah. Now we're doing this. So get used to it because it's the whole rest of the movie. But she did like it, and I'll say this as a prelude. I think we had more fun with Tusk than Birdman.
Yeah, and well, Tusk is kind of a fun movie. And there is something to be said for that first time you watch it because you go, holy shit, is that Johnny Depp? How did I not know? And so I follow Kevin Smith on Facebook. I do all these things. I had no idea Johnny Depp was in that movie.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I think that alone lends it that little bit of legitimacy that it really needs. The fact that he did not put Depp out there at all. It was just, hey, your daughter's going to be working with my daughter. Do you want to do some of the flick? And Johnny Depp is like, oh, yeah, sure, cool. And like he had him for more than one day,
I mean, he was,
because every time you have a cut in that movie, you're like, holy shit, Johnny Depp's still in the movie.
He didn't just come in for one scene. He was there. And the typical Hollywood thing would have been to have gone, Johnny Depp's new movie, Tusk and blah. But no, you had no idea. They didn't pimp that at all. I mean, it's probably why the movie kind of, quote unquote, flopped. But he's so bizarre in that movie, as is everyone else. Michael Parks is out of his fucking mind. I can't say I loved the movie, but I'm glad I watched it.
I like what it is. I like what it is and how it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like admiring a dangerous animal. Like, I respect a panther, right? Or a cheetah, or some kind of crazy sea creature and shit. That doesn't mean I want it in my pool.
Yeah, and if you follow Kevin Smith's podcast, the whole point was, of course, they had a podcast. He was high, as he frequently is when he records his podcast. And he just, even now, he says, hey, I'm just glad that I was able to make this movie. This just came from me and my friends sitting around bullshitting, and we made a movie out of it. And I'm just glad that this movie got made and that I have enough clout in the industry to have made this movie. Because it wasn't easy to get made. And the fact that movie exists, I think, is awesome.
Yeah, and exactly how it is, for better or worse. But yeah, I was going to mention that. The fact that he didn't pimp Johnny Depp at all, like, really, I don't know. It's important for a movie to have that kind of confidence about it. Like, and when he talks about, love it or hate it, as long as you talk about it, I'm happy. That kind of rings true when you consider that, because even if it had just been you pick up the DVD and it's like with Johnny Depp, just something like, I had no idea he was even in it, and he's in that movie longer than Black Widow is in Iron Man 2. Like, he's in that movie for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, maybe even longer than that. I mean, he's in there for a while. He's a major player, and it's a movie on.
You know what it would be like? It would be if back in the day you went and got Suicide Kings, and you had no idea that Christopher Walken was in it.
Yeah, he's holy crap! That's a great analogy, and I really dig it. I mean, I like I said, it's not going to be the Kevin Smith movie I always go back to, but it's going to be a movie where I go, oh, you haven't seen Tusk? Oh, you got to see it. Just to...
Yeah, at least one time.
Yeah, there's certain movies that you can appreciate just seeing how someone reacts to it, and that's one of those films.
Yeah, and I would venture so far as you kind of need to delve a little bit into the bullshit surrounding it, and I don't use that as a detractor, but you kind of need to listen to the podcast. You need to kind of get into it, especially if you're a Smith fan. If you're not a Smith fan, just why are you watching it at all? You know, just pass it up. Just like, because you're not gonna get it, and not in the you won't understand because I have a degree in film. No, it's because like it's all about being born on the podcast, like you said, getting it done on a razor's edge budget. Like everything in that movie is exactly how he wanted it to be, and he told everybody what he was gonna do, and then he did it. And that's a big part of it. But anyway, let's bounce off the event horizon that is Tusk before we get sucked into the Nexus.
And talk about Birdman?
And
what did you think of Birdman?
Yeah, let's talk about Birdman. I don't know. It's honestly, it's a new experience for me with Birdman because it never super grabbed me. And I expected to like it a lot more than I did. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be hating on it, but it's a weird one. And it's the first movie that I'm watching this year where I'm like, this movie is exactly what I wanted this movie to be. Why isn't it blowing my socks off? Why aren't I just really enjoying this? And I have a few points, but overall, I kind of... After me and Lily hashed it out, and she liked it too, but again, just never got swept up in it. And
yeah, so I can see that. So, I mean, on the surface, it's very much a filmmaker's and actor's movie. What the movie series is about, how much it brings you, it's very much about the individual actors' performances, the fact that those actors are there, and
yes,
and how it is directed, how that filmmaker is able to get some of those shots, and you have to be kind of a film buff to really love it. So I saw it in theaters with Stacy in Chattanooga, and she's not deep into film. She doesn't care how they're shot. She's not into cinematography. She's not so much into actors' performances. She just wants to be entertained, and that's not necessarily the movie for her, but she still enjoyed it. But for me, just looking at it from a pure filmmaker's perspective or something like that, I mean, it's pretty cool. Some of those shots, how he pulled them off. And
well, I mean, you and I collectively have probably seen over 500 movies, so between the two of us. So, I mean, like, as a film fan, as a fan that's read books about how they made Jaws, like somebody who's listened to every commentary on every movie we've absorbed since commentaries existed, like we get into it. When we like a movie, we get into it. We read the articles, we follow the actors, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And we're not watching movies just for the sheer entertainment factor. We look a little bit deeper. And, it's just like with anything else. If some people just listen to music just to be entertained. They don't really care about who produced it and who wrote the lyrics and what went into the performance and this and that. They just want to hear a song.
Yeah, but you and I, we really want, and sometimes it's good for the work and sometimes it's bad for the work, but just like in music, we really like to pin that fucker to a tray, slice it open and start tagging organs. Because we just want to know if we like it, why do I like this? And beyond, it has X guy, or beyond, it's this director. And if we don't like it, we want to answer the same questions. And sometimes the thing dies in the process, but those are the breaks,
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case with Birdman. I really didn't turn on it. I really more was like, it turned around on myself. By the end of it, I was like, what do I want? What did I want out of this that it didn't provide? I kind of turned on myself with this one. The sticking points for me are, I didn't like this movie, point one, it black swanned on me in a major way. And it felt just like Black Swan.
In what way?
And I'll tell you the exact scene that it swanned on me. And that was, well, obviously the visual sequence with this is what they want, and the explosions and the Transformers and everything. That's an easy analogy. But what I'm more talking about, the scene in the bathroom where Natalie Portman looks at her shoulder and she starts picking at the feathers. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly where this movie's going now. I've got its playbook. And you kind of tune out to a certain degree. Okay. I did that as well. And it was halfway through the movie when Michael Keaton and Edward Norton are having a fight because Edward Norton just trashed a whole preview, right? He went apeshit on stage.
Right.
And Keaton pins him up against the wall, and he starts talking about his dad and how his dad was abusive and all this, and he just wants this show to make it because it's so close to him. But then it's like, oh, I was acting. Gotcha. Like, I am a good actor. I can spar with you. It was acting sparring. But halfway through that scene, I was like, he's playing him. And then I went, oh, wait, he's playing him. Oh, okay. So when a scene starts dry, it's going to become ironic. When the scene starts ironic, it's going to end dry. And right after that, sure enough, every time, if a scene started weird or offbeat, it would turn super serious and dark. And if it started off dark, it would turn funny. And I don't know. I just kind of figured out the monster. Like, I saw the monster. And after I saw the monster, I just couldn't get into it past that. But mostly what it ties to, like, not only that, the heavy lifting between him and Norton, but when you see Birdman, I really wish that movie was just him talking to himself as Batman. That was awesome. I loved it. The minute I saw Batman, it was like, I don't know why it didn't sit good with me. I didn't like seeing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess that didn't bother me that much. Because I guess I'm a bigger fan of the movie than you are. But, so that didn't... I mean, point well taken.
This is all taste, by the way. I'm talking pure subjective taste. I'm not talking about like the effects were bad or he acted it poorly. No, it was. I got what they were doing and they did it well. I just didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
You know?
What's your next point?
The second thing that really gave me a hard time was I don't dislike Michael Keaton. I actually really like Michael Keaton, and I think we've talked about this. Like, he's done a couple of whatever type movies, Multiplicity and whatever. But overall, I really like the guy.
Yeah, me too.
I don't have any ill feeling toward him. I would have gone and seen this movie because he was in it, no matter what it was. No Edward Norton. I would have a serious Michael Keaton movie. All right, let's do it. And so I didn't get the put upon kind of depression angle with him. It seemed false, if that makes sense. And it bothered me. I don't know why, but it bothered me because I'm like, I don't dislike you. I really like you. I'm on your side, whether you're crazy or not. All these other people, they don't understand, because the central message of the movie, right? The one on the surface floating at the top of the water is the portraying the actor's experience from the actor's perspective. And the statement is, if you're not an actor performing right now, you don't understand. And it's not you don't understand what we're trying to do, but you don't understand how it feels on the other side, right? They're on the other side. They're performing, you're watching. And fundamentally, we can never see directly eye to eye, right? And that's kind of the central hitch of the movie, what the audience wants, what you have to go through to make a show a success, how it doesn't matter what the content of the show is. It matters how you present it to people. They don't know about working with a difficult actor like Edward Norton, because when the curtain comes up, all you see is drama. You see acting even when it's not. And sometimes you don't see acting when it is, right?
Yeah.
And that extends all the way to the Broadway audience and the critic. The uber snoot critic and the uber snoot Broadway audience, they don't get it, right? So like that's the main theme of it to me, is the disconnect between actor and fan, or actor and the audience, And I don't think it's condescending either. I think it's just stating a fact, because that's why they include the blue bloods, right? They're not pointing a finger at you, Mr. Person who likes Transformers. You're an idiot. It's just how the actors see things.
See, I kind of viewed it a little bit more as they're poking at people who take film too seriously, because it is very much a filmmaker's movie. Actors probably would appreciate it a little bit more than others, particularly play actors. But it kind of talks to that microcosm about what is a serious form of medium, of acting, of drama. What is acceptable, and theater is seen as very legitimate, whereas a superhero movie is not.
Is it that Broadway has been sucked down to the level of film, or is it that this is just the way it's always been to us, the actors? We're trying to, by and large, actors are trying to entertain you. They want to do a good job, and it doesn't matter if they're in a car wash commercial or on Broadway, right? I think it's more B. I think it's more B. I don't think it's, now it's claimed Broadway too, and there's no hope. I don't think the movie's that bleak.
No.
But yeah, no, touche, on the taking things too seriously. Like, I definitely see that.
Yeah, so...
Which is what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of the whole piece, is that it takes a tragedy or it takes some ridiculous event, even in being serious, you know, he had to make a spectacle of it in order for it to be truly successful and to make true art. And what is true art? And I think those are kind of a lot of the things that the film's trying to get to. So, okay.
Yeah. And, well, I was just going to add to that, like, because not only in regards to the Broadway show that's going on in the movie, but you're talking about a high budget, high star power movie that competed in that arena in the movie business. Like, this movie did not fly under the radar. This is not simply a passion project. This was a successful opening weekend film. So it's also about itself,
sure.
Right?
Now, what other points do you have?
This is a nitpick, and it's not fair, and you're probably going to be mad at me, but as great as it was to see old Edward Norton back after a couple of movies where he was not classic Edward Norton, I didn't see anything there that was new. All I saw was classic Ed Norton doing classic Ed Norton stuff. And I'm not saying the man didn't act in the movie, especially in the scene where he comes out on set and he's discussing adding him to the show. And he's like, well, the hell with the script, you know, fuck that. Let's just run it. Just throw it at me. And those two do some quote heavy lifting acting there, because they're essentially playing two characters at the same time, each of them, right? They're playing themselves, the actor, and then they're playing themselves, the actor, acting.
Sure.
And they're switching between those on the fly. That was probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, because they both did a really good job. But ultimately, Ed Norton was Ed Norton. And after so long, like, I don't know. I think it just like gave me a little taste. I was like, all right, here it comes. Now we're going to have that big scene where we're going to have that big scene where 5 or 6 people, like I actually found it very close to a Christopher Guest movie where you have a familiar host of actors and actresses, heavy on dialogue, heavy about behind the scenes, about the process, them performing, them not performing. But Christopher Guest movies, for better or worse, they always have this big acting climax where you have everybody on stage in a mighty wind, and you have characters coming and going from backstage, interacting with each other, characters that haven't even spoken before in the movie, throwing down dialogue. Birdman never had that.
Well,
it never really had that grand slam.
Yeah, I mean, it had a climax, to be sure. The scene where he, spoiler alert, the scene where he shoots himself.
Yeah. Yes, but that was just him.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and that is kind of nitpicking because, to go back, because I mean, what I'm going to say is the strengths of the movie is actors' performances. And so whereas you say, Edward Norton was just back to classic Edward Norton, it kind of reminds me of a band, because Edward Norton hasn't really been great for a good 10 years now. And so the fact that it's almost like you take a heavy metal band like Metallica and they kind of put out some bad albums or whatever, and they come back with just an awesome, badass album. That's enough. I don't need him to do anything different. I just want to see him be good in something again. And so that...
Just to play to the Potter's Field, we're talking about Soilworks album is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The double album where it's like, Soilworks back.
Yeah, and so, it's... You get a guy doing his thing again. That was fantastic. Same thing with Michael Keaton. Seeing Michael Keaton in a really good acting role, and he's actually done a lot of good stuff in the interim, but seeing him back in the limelight, that's fantastic. Even Zach Galifianakis as a serious actor, I thought was really good.
He did really well, and I'll tell you another character that I usually don't like in that setup that did really well was his daughter, Michael Keaton's daughter.
Yeah, is that Emma Stone?
She was fantastic.
Yes, she played that role very well.
Yeah, and the blonde actress too, and I'm really bad with the names.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about. The kind of
not the brunette that was pregnant. Yeah. The blonde actress that she makes out with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was super good too.
The performances I thought were great. I thought the way the movie was made was really cool, really unique, really innovative. the drummer being in there. I know it's kind of a gimmick, but I thought it was really cool the way that they used percussion to heighten drama instead of a traditional movie score. I thought it was really cool.
No, I also really liked it.
And so,
just for the record.
I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 by any means. Now, I also saw it kind of early on, very early in the Birdman game, before maybe it had picked up enough steam. And you saw it after it had won a ton of Oscars and after it had all these accolades. And so that can certainly taint your view of the movie, any movie.
I went into this with your recommendation alone. I knew that it was well regarded, but I didn't know to what extent.
Yeah, but even then,
But I checked it after I saw it.
Just even on my recommendation, when you have someone, so talking about Black Swan, our good friend Keith over from Tyranny of Tradition, when he told me about Black Swan, he said, "Oh man, it was so intense. I was sweating at the end." And so I went in going, "Oh man, this is going to be an amazing movie." And I didn't really like it that much. So that can certainly.
Well, and that movie too, like, was the same thing. Like, I don't think I would have needed any other endorsement. I think I couldn't go into this wanting too much because Michael Keaton, Edward Norton. Bam.
Yeah, but let's just say,
I'm over expecting on
sure,
this
but
one.
let's just say you came on Netflix, you never heard of any movie, and you just go, "Holy crap! In 2006, Michael Keaton and Edward Norton made a movie together, and Zach Galifianakis was in it."
Yeah,
Matt, you got to check this movie out. This is crazy. Expectation matters a lot in movie viewing.
It does.
And
it
so
does.
if you would just...
And that very well could have been
Yeah,
the case.
and so, I mean, I think that certainly would taint your view. And I know you're not saying it's a bad movie. I think you're just saying it didn't...
Not by any stretch.
It just didn't blow you away.
It had a good statement. It had great acting. It had a good story. It was, like you said, shot impeccably well. I didn't dig him flying around, and I don't know. Like, there were 3 times in that movie up to the halfway point where I was like, all right, yeah, wow, I think I'm going to love this movie. And then for whatever reason, it would kind of drop me for another 5 or 6 minutes. Basically, when anybody was treating Michael Keaton like shit, and that's really weird coming from me, I don't know why. It just bothered me. It's like, this guy's trying. He's clearly trying, and nobody will cut him a break.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. You know, he approaches every single one on the production, even the dude sitting in the little booth at the computer, and tries to talk them up, tries to pump them up. And Zach Galifianakis is the only character in the whole film that tries to keep him going. And even at the end, which is the only reason that the movie had to go on after he shot himself, because you had to have that scene where Zach Galifianakis proves that he didn't get it either. Right? Because even he turns around and he goes, "This is what you wanted. The show's blowing up. It's great. Oh, you're a genius." You know? And you see that he doesn't get it at all. You know what I mean? So nobody got it. And it just, I don't know. The linchpin on this is, how do you interpret the ending?
So I think he killed himself.
They show him in the bathroom after he's talked to his wife, after he's talked to Zach, after he's talked to his daughter, and his daughter lays her head on his chest, and you see that she genuinely cares about him. You don't know what she's thinking really, but you know that she cares. She gives him that moment. Right. And it's kind of the only person that does, right? And that's where that whole nobody gets it. She gets it, at least a little. And it's, I can't tell if it's that, well, we'll analyze in a second. So the daughter lays her head on his chest. She loves him. He knows that. He goes to the bathroom. He peels the beak off, the bandages that make a beak.
Yes.
And he looks over, and Birdman's sitting on the toilet.
Yep.
Right? And he doesn't say a word. And then he turns around, exits the bathroom, and he's like, "Goodbye. You know, so long, jerk. You know, I'm over it." And walks around the corner, opens up the window, looks out the window, smiles, a big old grin, breathes a big breath, and then jumps out the window, presumably. Then the daughter comes into the room, runs around looking for him. "Dad, where are you?" Sees the window open. She leans out the window, looks up, and then she smiles.
Yes.
That's all that you know. So 2 ways that I interpret that, and really I only interpret it one way, but just for symmetry, is either he wasn't nuts, right? which that means delving into the supernatural, and I don't think that's the deal.
Agree.
What I think it was relief. She was relieved.
Relieved
Right.
that what? That he jumped?
That he was done. That he got over it. He was free. Right? It's because it's all about being free.
Do you think he's dead?
I do. There's evidence to the contrary, and now bear in mind this is all in one pass. I've watched the movie one time with Lily, discussing it throughout. I've not looked up any analyses or anything like that, but I think the fact that the daughter, was pictured so many times sitting on the ledge just looking, I think that's kind of a little bit of evidence to the contrary. Yeah. I can't explain the smile.
Yeah, no,
Right, so either he's sitting up on a ledge above her, and she sees that he's okay, or she looks down, sees him, and she
knows that in the end he beat his demons. He died happy.
He made his mark. He did his legit show, and people know about it. She loves him, which is really all he wanted. And he was done. She loved him. She got it. That was enough. And that fits in with the whole audience thing too, because one person got it. And for an actor, a true actor, that's enough. Like Kevin Smith talks about. This is where Tusk has a lot of parallels here. And one of those is you do it so people will talk about it, so that people will appreciate it. And not in that they like it, but they chew on it. It gets under their skin. They get it. They're talking about it. They're absorbing it. Your performance has merit because people are spending time with it, and she got it. So he knows that he reached at least one fan. One person appreciated it.
Yes.
That's kind of how I choose to take it.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. Yeah. Well, those are two pretty good movies to watch, I guess, together, because there are some parallels. And yeah, go out and watch them. Well, that's Crucial Podcast for this week. This is the Matt.
And I'm Ellis.
Reminding you, anything can be crucial.